Hi, welcome to this third and final video on the unique initiative of the CI Institute of Logistics. By now, I think you're familiar about where we are taking you. In the first video, we had talked about how the CI Institute of Logistics has to play a supportive role to the government's avowed objectives of Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign. And we said how the CI Institute would have to start all these initiatives grounds up, which is why in the second video we said, fine, we're going to take you through what is called as the foundation course in supply chain management that we have come up with, so that a solid foundation is built up for the economy through the people that will work in the logistics and supply chain sector. Now, in that second video, I had also talked about saying, okay, fine, we're going to give you a lot of practical insights. We're going to have interactive self work. And so, what is this third video about our approach? What is it that you're going to tell us that's new? Now, it's very, very important that we start with the right things first. And therefore, here I'm going to start with an invocation, which is actually in Sanskrit. So I'm going to read through it line by line for you. This is from the Bhagavad Gita. It says, Sahajam karma kaunteya sadoshamapi natyajet. Let me repeat that again. Sahajam karma kaunteya sadoshamapi natyajet. And let me take you through the second line, which says sarvarambhani doshena dhumena agnirivavritaha. Once again, sarvarambhani doshena dhumena agnirivavritaha. Now, what does this mean? Let me take you through the meaning in English. Sahajam karma kaunteya means what? Let there be duality at work, and that's the nature of things, Arjuna. So says Krishna. Yes. So the good and the not so good will always coincide. Sahajam karma kaunteya. That's what it means. So duality in work is a norm, Arjuna. Therefore, do not give up your efforts. Sardoshamapi natyajet. So when you start out on something, it will always be blemished. There will be some errors here and there. So it's the value of experience that this sloka from Bhagavad Gita talks about. Sarvarambani doshena. That means what? We are saying we are alive to the fact that people are bound to commit mistakes. It's human to err. It's not to err is human, but we're saying it is human to err. Yeah. So Sarvarambani doshena, everything that we start out with is bound to have blemishes. However, when you do not give up, what happens? Dhumenagnirevavritaha. That means what? Like the smoke that hides the fire, you will have to, constantly keep at the task such that the smoke is removed and the fire in its purest form shows up. Now, why is this a powerful invocation personally for us and for me? The reason is because this talks about many things. It talks about continuous improvement. It talks about the nature of human beings. It talks about a certain discipline. It talks about a certain work ethic. So, to my mind, this one single shloka from the Bhagavad Gita stands out exemplarily as a kind of a goalpost that we can have. And this is a goalpost that we will have for this course too. Now, amongst other things that I want to leave you with, insofar as our basic values are concerned, is the fact that there is a certain twisted thinking that we have been used to, which means that we believe that money is the center of everything. Money is the cause of everything. So we all that we try and do throughout our lives is to chip away at expenses here and there. How do we make more money? How do we spend less money? How do we optimize so that there is a cost reduction? How do we reduce cost? Not even how do we optimize so that there is cost reduction. How do we reduce cost? Where can we chop expenses? So we put money before everything, and I'm not too sure whether that's right. So one of the basic fundamental approach that we take through this foundation course is to twist this concept on its head and say that money is not the cause, but the consequence of things. So it's the consequence of the way we do things. So you remember the Shuchi and Harsham explanation in one of the earlier, the first, in fact, the first video. What did we say? If you have pure and clean supply chains, you will obviously make money. That is supply chain Arthashastra, right? So welcome to this third and final video, where we'll take you through a little bit more in detail about what are the details in terms of our approaches to making you have a solid foundation in logistics and supply chain. So stay tuned. So the invocation and the value driver aside, let me try and show you how we want to be different when viewed from most other such kind of courses in terms of our foundation course. Yeah, the first one is in terms of content. How are we different in terms of content? Let me just give you a simple example. Normally, when you talk about purchasing or procurement management, the way they teach it in the institutions would be to say that, listen, purchasing is about getting the right quantity of the right product at the right place at the right time, in the right quantity, and so on and so forth. Now, that's theory, right? Now, as industry professionals, we know that the real business world is far different from that, of course. Fine, the concepts are fine, but it goes far beyond the core, far beyond just the concepts, right? So how do we put these concepts into practice in a way that they become effective? And that's where the content that we deliver here will be different. I can assure you that most of the content that we have here is not something that you will find in books. Yeah. The second obvious factor is in terms of our delivery. As your course anchor, me, Sukumar Narasimhan, I have always been an industry man and I can speak only industry language. And I believe that all the concepts that I have learned in my academia were of just giving me the first start in the industry. After that, it's been phenomenal amount of outside the textbook knowledge that I have gained, as have the other people who have contributed to the development of this content and delivery. So that's the way I will kind of take you through the course, where the delivery will be extremely different. And like I mentioned in some of the other videos, the fact of the matter would be there will be a fair amount of individual self work that will be involved, which we will take up during our open contact sessions so that the learning is complete. Now, if we did these two at a fundamental level in terms of our approach to the course, we believe that the outcomes will be somewhat different, and that is, we hope that this course will ignite the passion in you, ignite the passion for becoming an extraordinarily useful supply chain professional. Yeah, so igniting the right fire within your belly is another goal of this course. And if we did all this, obviously the final outcome is that you will be a transformed individual, a person who is ready to walk into the difficult field of supply chain where everything is about faultless execution time after time after time. So welcome to this course, and I'll take you to further details in terms of how this course is going to be different in terms of our approach in the coming slides. One of the basic things we do as a difference in our approach is that we try to keep everything simple. So the KISS principle, which has dominated the area of aircraft design, having emanated as a term from the US Army, keep it simple and straightforward is the term that I would like to use. Stupid also is okay. There are other things as well, as you will see when we go ahead. So what we try to do is to deliver the content in a manner that is simple for you to understand. We don't try to take concepts to a point of abstraction that gives you great intellectual happiness, but it's of little use in the work world. Yeah. So we try to keep it very simple. We try to keep it practical. We try to keep it in a way that it can be applied with minimum ease and maximum understanding. So our examples are like real day-to-day life kind of examples from which the learning begins. Yeah. So the aim that we have as a result of whatever we try to do is that you should keep progressing in life. And that's what's important. Because if we lay the foundation strongly, the chances are you will pick up the threads from there and move on and make a worthy human being of yourself. So that's where our approach is different, the KISS principle. Yeah. Now, at a point in time, we thought that we would take you through the entire course teaching by ourselves, but then we made some fundamental course corrections in terms of our objectives of what we want to do. So you see the filled cylinder here, it's only quarter filled, right? So that's the 25% that we will do for you in terms of inputs. Yeah, the balance 75% is something that we would like for it to happen through your learning. Yeah. Now, why do we say this? We say this because we find that there is a phenomenal amount of information that's available on the World Wide Web. Yeah. You can find out just about anything that you want to know anything about from the internet, and it gives you virtually any kind of information. But then the point is, it's a question of water, water everywhere, and not a drop to drink. And that's because there's so much of information that I think you people end up being more confounded than clear at the end of it all, because it says everything. So the net, although it is prodigious in terms of its content, how do you sift from the content is an art, and that is where the foundation course plays an important role. The 25% that I talked to you about is about showing you the path to the right things that you need to assimilate and move forward from the plethora of information that is already available. We will help you choose and grow wise. In terms of our approach to the delivery of the content that we have, we will do it in 4 different ways, as you can see at the bottom of the slide. But what I'm saying is about 30% of the time is when you will have content online that is available. A major part of it, which is a 40%, is what? You guessed it, it's self-study. A 20% time is slated for our contact, where I'll come on a weekly basis for maybe an hour every Saturday, and then take on questions and then have practical insights that I share with you far beyond what we have done even in the course already. And the balance 10% is for me to leave you alone with yourself for your own assessment. So we, for this foundation course, do not wish to do an, an assessment which is elaborated by ourselves. We want you to do a self-assessment, engage in an introspection of looking at what is it that you have learned from the course, how useful it has been. Be transparent to yourself. Be free with us in terms of the insights that you want to share, in terms of the help and further assistance that you will require. And obviously, we will be more than glad to help. The most important point, of course, is both during and after the course, the self-study is something that will take you far, far ahead in terms of learning and usefulness in life, and more specifically, becoming a thoroughbred supply chain professional. Now, that is how, which means the 20% of contact and the 30% of online. You will find that even on the online mode, I'm very, very interactive because I hate to speak to a computer. I like to see people's faces. I like to see their reactions. And therefore, although the online content itself might be somewhat interactive, I promise you that during the 20% of the time that we are kind of face to face, even on an electronic basis, we will make it as interactive as it can get, because I think that is where true learning is. Not only for you, even for me, because there are ways by which you people will come back and tell me that, listen, there are things that could have been done differently from what has been done. And that's very, very important to understand. Yeah, so we will make the session as interactive as it can get. And in fact, the entire course will be made as interactive as it can get. So there is something about the course that I want to tell you. And what we want to do is do it somewhat differently by playing the alphabets around, and this is what we want to happen. U, so the thing becomes fairly large, much larger than what it is. So you're larger than everything else, and you guessed it, you score. That's the point. Now, one quiz at the end of this. Did you notice a difference between the way the words in course transitioned to you score? Did you notice the way? There was a difference. I knew you would notice. There is a difference between the way the U transitioned to the bigger U and the balance of course transferred to score. Have a look at the video back again. You will see that the U disappeared from the course far before it became a bigger U, while the smaller alphabets kind of moved into the bigger alphabets. Yeah. So the reason is very simple. The reason is deliberate again. The thing is, you are important. You are the person who can make the difference. You are the person who can make the score. Yeah. So it's entirely up to you. So I want you to look at the course very differently and say it's not a course, it is you score. Yeah. So it's a very small theme. It's basically a play around of words. Oh, not words. It's a play around of alphabets more than anything else. But something that I want you to remember is you are central to this learning, and therefore make it your business to make the most out of this course. Now, at different points in time in the online delivery, we have used a large number of symbologies, symbols basically. And I'll explain a few of them here, or most of them here, if not all of them here. This is a symbol where we would like for you to stop the video if you can and then think. Like the U score thing would have been an appropriate place where I could have inserted this think symbol. I didn't deliberately because that was meant to catch your attention. So go back and then do this. But in the online content that we will give you access to, you will find this notations coming in pretty frequently. Now, a stopwatch is thing that we are saying where you could like to take a break, or we would like for you to take a break from the presentation. So the simplest way is to just stop the video there if you want, or if you don't want a break, just move on. But the pause alarm we are giving is basically for you to stop in the track of whatever is being thrown at you and start to think. Yeah. So this, even if I don't press the stop clock alarm at different places, you should make it your business to stop and try to assimilate everything of what's being said. Now, a red isosceles triangle is usually placed alongside a text which is highlighted. Now, how can I do a lifelong learning in a few hours of content? Obviously, I can't, right? So, wherever I think there are important places in the content delivery where there is a lot more that I want to convey than what could be conveyed decently in a slide and in a content, I have put in these deltas and the red triangles, and I have given a voiceover which will explain what is it that I want you to understand. So one of the examples I'll give you here is somewhere in one of the content of the course I have said working in an organization is like rowing a boat. Yeah. And then there I have given an expanded explanation of what that means. Yeah. So during the entire course, you will have many occasions where you will see these red isosceles triangles. Just make sure that you understand what has been said after the red triangles in terms of voiceovers. Now, this is a funny thing. Yeah. Now, self-study, like I said, was very, very important. Now, I may not suggest self-study separately. There will be many places in the voiceover where I would have referred to different books. Yeah. But the choice of the symbol of self-study here is very different because I think some amount of doggedness in pursuit is always useful. So that's the approach which I want you to undertake this course. Now, this obviously is a milestone. So these are important places in the presentation where we will say that we have reached an important place in the milestone. We'll take a recap, or will may even be a stop point for one of the minor lessons, or in each lesson, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Now, the last symbol that you can see here, this symbol, like you can see even at the bottom of this slide, there is a notation which says this symbol is from the Computer Business Review, stopwatch from carrier.ucon.edu, and FluentU and all that. Yeah. So this is a citation and a credits thing that we give at the appropriate places in the slide. I thought these symbols that we will encounter in the subject content are important for me to detail here. I have just a few impatient words to share with you before I end this video. The first one is that supply chain is a sunrise industry as of now. At the time that we were all in the field, it was still a growing field. There was not too much of information about what this field of activity is all about, or what is this profession all about. There was a time when people who were not wanted elsewhere were driven into the supply chain function, but that's no longer the case. Thanks to the development of the economy, digitization, e-commerce, and so on and so forth, the supply chain function has risen to the forefront of industry attention, and it will continue to be so for the next 25, 30, if not 50 years to come. Yeah. So the fact that you have come to CIL, the Institute of Logistics, the CI Institute of Logistics, I think you have made a right decision, and therefore you're doing the right thing at the right time. That's very, very important. Yeah. Now, having done all this, what am I supposed to surmise? I'm supposed to understand that you have been inquisitive to understand what this foundation course is all about, and I make it my business as your course compare or anchor is to translate this inquisitiveness of yours into passion. Yeah, I want you people to get so engrossed in the content of this foundation course that I want you to be asking for more. And then we would only be more delighted to see you guys grow and excel, isn't it? Now, I also take it that this is a matter of sheer providence that things have come together like this in terms of where the industry is, how you have come to the CI Institute of Logistics, and how you have shown your inquisitiveness, and how we want to commit that we would convert your inquisitiveness into a passion. And therefore, this is almost like the collinearity of stars, isn't it? So it's a sheer providence that all these things are happening at this time. And I therefore believe that at the end of it all, you will come out more equal than others in the field of supply chain and logistics. So all the very best to take this foundation course. I'll see you there in the course sessions soon.